Okay. We are online here and on YouTube. We are live. Okay. Hi guys.
Hello.
Last time we were learning about components and how to create components, how to connect components, but only in one way. And now we will be connecting them also the other way. So now we have now we can pass the data from parent component to child component, but now we also want to pass data from child component to parent component. There are two ways to do that. One is to use output. You can open output decorator in an Angular documentation for now. And the other way is services. But today we will not be using that. So we need output decorator. Yes, we have it in the first place on the left.
There it is.
Yeah. Okay. So we can see, we can search the information how to use output. Okay, so output takes an option alias, and you can scroll down. Okay, there is nothing more here.
Maybe here.
Input and output properties. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So we have sending data to child component, but now we want to send data to parent component. Okay, so we can see we need more information, right? So we can search below what they are, what they informing us about. Configuration child component. Okay, so we need output, and output needs to be event emitter. So the output is an event, right? So like we have click, it's native event. So when we create our component and we want to pass data from child to parent, we need to create our own event. So the output is an event. And event can pass data, right? So we can define via TypeScript what type of the data we are passing with this event. Okay, so okay, and here we have an example how to emit an event, right? So first we create a variable name decorated by output. To this variable we assign new event emitter. So we create new event, and when we have new event, we can emit it with the value we want to pass to other components. Right? It's pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so maybe we will try to do some data passing from child to parent. As I remember, we have two components. We have app component and button component, right?
Yep. Actually, the button is no longer a button. We turned it into a div.
Yeah, it's fine for this
It's
moment.
still functional.
Sorry?
It's still functional anyway.
Yeah.
It changed.
So maybe we will change to button to have this as a button.
That would be here.
Yeah. So let it be button. And now we want to...
It didn't work.
Yeah, we have this error from last time when we tried to set variable, the default value. We will do that, but later. Now we want to test this event emitter. So now I think that it would be the best to pass counter to app and display counter of button clicks in app component. Right? So we need add to app component this functionality to display counter.
Inside the
Yeah,
inside the class, right?
Inside first inside app template, app component HTML.
Okay, HTML.
Yeah.
So what are we adding exactly into the component?
The same thing that we had in button, right? So
this?
Yeah, this one. This whole line you can move to up. Okay, so now we have counter in up, but up does not have counter, right?
That's right.
Okay, so first thing is to add counter to up, just to display it. No.
Function. What? No.
Not this. Yeah, this output you have, it's for button component, right? So we currently we don't want to do that. We just want to have app component to display counter, but without communication with button component. So it will be not this counter will not be functional, right? So we want to copy this functionality of not this, right? Because this is for on click. We just want counter. So create variable property counter in app component and set it not here. It's decorator.
I don't understand. Sorry.
In app component class, we need to create property, right? So you have title here, and we just need to add this counter. Yeah. Okay, so
Save it.
we have counter in app, but without functionality of counting, right? So it's static data. It's set to 0 and it will always be 0 currently, right? And when we
check.
click on button, nothing happens because
Yep,
okay,
the one still.
we have this information in button, right? So maybe write in app component information that
Yeah.
okay. So
I
maybe
forgot to save the file.
okay, all right. So maybe add information that this is from app component. Counter in app component of or something like that. Okay, so maybe add the same information in button component, so we will see that app isn't changing and in button it is changing, right?
You mean change the label here?
No. Just copy the information about counter.
The div, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Button
In
component.
button element component. That's Angular.
Okay. So now every time we click on a button here in button component, the counter will change. But in app component, it will not change, right?
Right.
So now we want to use this output to pass data from child to parent. So when we click on a button, counter in app will change. We want create this functionality, right? So the first thing is to create an output and emit data in button component. And this we have in this example in Angular documentation. Right. So here we have input item output component. It is our button component. So we need to create an event decorated by output. And then we want to add to our onSave method this event emit thing, right?
So we have to create another class or
No,
just
no.
copy that into the
We
button?
already have a class, right? So we have button component. We just need to add this functionality of output.
So we will just paste that here into the class of button component.
Yeah.
And we have to import that.
We need to import output from Angular core and event emitter also. Okay, we have that.
I just change the name.
Okay, so also to have this component a little bit tidier, move this output to the top and maybe also an input, right? So we have input, output, and then simple properties. First input. Okay, so we have input, we have output. So we now know, move this event emitter to onSave. No, yeah, this update event counter. Yeah.
Wait, just
Or
the whole thing?
or
Or
maybe leave it like that. So okay, we need to update.
The on click.
We need to update. No, on save, right? We need to update on save method. Right? On save needs to call update counter.
Okay.
No, it's fine. This is fine because we want this.
We need an argument, so
And
that would be 1.
This counter. We always want to pass the newest.
It requires a string, so I'll just change that here and okay.
And
type
line 17 or so.
17 here.
Yeah. Okay, so we created an event emitter property, which is called update counter event. In line 27, we emit an event with a value. We set that this value must be a number. So it is fine here. All right. So we just created that, but we don't use it, right? We don't listen for this event. We need to go to the documentation and need to learn how to listen for events. Okay, so you have here configuring the parents template, right? Okay, so output is always in brackets because it's an output like other events. So we created an event, so it will behave like other events. So like we have a click event, it also was in brackets, right? So we will use our custom event the same in the same way, right? So when we go to our app component template, we have app button, right? So we passed an input initial count, and now we want to listen to our output.
Our output was update
Update
event.
Update counter event, right?
Yeah. And now so I'm not sure how to write this. I mean, just like that?
Yeah, that's right. Like click.
So there's no need for any tags, on clicks, and nothing like that?
No, because it's our event. It's custom event.
Okay.
When we call emit, it will propagate. When you have on click, it is automatically propagated when you click something, right?
Okay. And we have click on the button, so we just have to add that. So we have to edit the counter.
Yes.
So we would have to write a function for that, or
That's
do we
right.
already have it?
That's right.
And the function would be somewhere here, right? There's the counter.
That's right.
So we have to edit the counter from here.
That's right. because we are working now in app component, right? So app component HTML is the template for this component. So everything we are doing in app component.
We have to write that.
Yes, because this
is a parameter for the
yes,
function.
Exactly. And here we will have we will pass the value, right? So when you emit an event, you pass a value, and this value will be assigned to this first parameter.
Okay.
So you can go to button component TS, right? So you have here, right? So you emit an event with a value, and it is one value. When you pass two values, I don't know if you can, but probably you can. I don't know. Doesn't matter. But if you would pass two values, you should use two properties there, right?
Okay.
And the same will be with our method, right? So we now know that event is emitted with one value. In app component template, we define that. So you can go to app component HTML. Right. So here we have our output, and we assign to this output our method. And we also pass to this method this event parameter. Okay, so right. Just yeah, it will be number. Maybe just add okay, maybe an event is okay. All right, so maybe now we console log or just assign. I wanted
event,
first
right?
to just see what is happening, if it is working.
So we should have a console log of 1, 2, 3, or actually 11.
Yeah.
0, and this didn't work. Maybe I have to
No,
save
you
the
need
files.
to open console.
Console, yes.
Sorry. Right.
And save the app component.
Yeah, it's probably not saved. Save all of that. And yeah, 11, 11, 11, 11,
Yeah,
11.
maybe change the functionality in button to not have this initial count, but just counter and to work as we wanted. Yeah. This initial count we will handle later.
That works.
Yeah, okay. So now you can go to app component and replace console log with update. Not this, it's just event. Right, so we don't want to add, we just want to assign the exact value.
Okay. Right, because the button is adding that for us.
That's right.
So let's check. And yeah, they both work at the same time.
Okay, great. All right, so now we can pass value from parent to child, and now we can pass data from child to parent, and now we need to fix this initial value, right?
Where did we have the initial count?
Initial count, right. Okay, so maybe we will go once again to documentation and see what we can get from that about input.
So what do we search for?
Yeah, here we have basic information, right? So okay, we want to know how to assign data from input to other property. Maybe here we will have that.
This is what we did just now. So input and output together. And that's it.
Okay, maybe go to component lifecycle. You have on many on the left, in many, yeah, higher. All right. So in almost all current frameworks, we have component life cycles. So there are some sequences of how component behaves and is created or is destroyed. And we have some methods or hooks that allow us to do something when something is happening with component. So before creation, when it is created, when something change, or when some component is destroyed. Okay, so maybe we have lifecycle event sequence. Go to that. On the right, you have another menu on the right.
Event sequence. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just open it in a new tab.
Okay. So we have ng on changes. Like the name suggests, it is fired when something changes within properties, right? Okay, so we have other hooks. The next one is ng on init. It's when component is initialized. Okay. And probably it will be the hook we are searching for.
On init?
Yeah. So when component is initialized, we will try do that, right? So first displays the data bound properties and sets the directive or component's input properties. Okay, we can try. We will be doing some try and error.
So we have to put it in the button component.
Yeah.
And we would like the initial count.
Yeah.
To be
no, our counter. Our counter. We want our counter to be an initial count. Yeah. Because we have our counter and we want to pass initial count, right? So we can increase it or decrease it. All right. So now we can check if something changed.
Yeah, there's 10.
Okay, so it is what we wanted. So yeah, when we were using it before, we just assigned initial value to our property, and it was done when component was created, right? So it was always the same. And now we changed a little bit. Now we set the value. No, it was other thing, right? So when we wanted to assign initial count to counter, it wasn't possible, right? It was still 0. Yeah?
Because it happened only when we first clicked the button. Because we had a regular function inside and not the on init.
Yeah, maybe now we will break it again, right? So just comment this on init. All right, so first thing that we wanted was to assign initial count directly to counter, right? So counter equals this initial count. We wanted that, right?
Mm-hmm.
To just, it was intuitive for us to just assign initial count to counter, right?
Yes.
What if we did here?
Yeah, we just assign this initial count here.
And it doesn't work.
Yeah, because initial count isn't initialized yet. At this time, when component is created, we are trying to assign value that isn't yet initialized, right? When you go to app component HTML, you will see that we passed initial count and its value is 10, right?
Yes.
But in button component, when this component is created, the first evaluation of the values, initial count isn't set yet, right? So the first round of creating component, we just initializing values. Initial count doesn't have a value, right? Because we made it optional.
Mm-hmm.
Try to make it, give it default value, maybe, for
So
initial
just-
count. For initial count.
16.
For initial count, assign
here,
0.
right?
Line 16.
16 line, yes.
16 initial count number.
Yeah, and assign. Okay.
Just
Maybe at something different than 10.
20.
Nope.
Yeah. And
Still.
yeah. Okay. And
Yeah, that's 11.
that's 11, right? Because we the first step is just initializing the values. So when component has property, and this property has value assigned, it's fine, right? But the input is passed from parent to child, and this is done in the next round.
So just like the key is to understand which things happens first, right? Like
Right.
It's sequential, like a waterfall.
That's right. That's right. So the first, we are initializing the values, the properties, we are assigning the values, and the second sequence is assigning values from inputs if they are there. And this is done on ngine init. All right, so we resolved our problem, right? So you can uncomment this ngine init, and this initial count we can set like it was. All right. So now we can pass data from parent to child via input. We know how to assign this passed value to our properties inside this component. And now we can also pass data from child to parent.
I have a question.
Okay.
Up is a direct parent of our button, so
Yeah.
that works, right? There's a button, there's that. And what if we wanted to use like grandparents input? Would that work, or do we have to pass it through the parent to the grandchild, so to say?
Yeah, when you use inputs and outputs, you need to pass those between all children, through all children.
Okay, so if they are siblings, we would have to pass it from sibling 1 to parent and from parent to sibling 2.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly that. That's why when we have some more complex structure of components, we use services. Because services are something that is not directly connected with component. We define in components that components use services, but the service is something else. It's not in the tree of components.
Yeah, it makes sense to have something like that because just imagine sending this data through 10 different parents just to reach the last parent, the body, and then just go straight down through all the other components. That would be a mess.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. All right. So maybe we want to now practice this input and output functionality by creating some components between up and button, just to make just to practice. Maybe we want to create counter 1, counter 2, counter 3, pass data between them, and maybe create some of those all counters in up component. Okay.
So do we generate another component, or do we just use buttons and divs as we already do?
We can use this component, this button component, but we need to create other components as wrappers for counters. So we can create counter 1 component, counter 2 component, counter 3 component, and use this button component in all of those 3 components.
You mean just here, right? Or
No,
other elements?
Create new components, right? So component counter 1 component, counter 2 component, counter 3 component, new components, separate components. Like you were creating this button component, so we need to use this
right?
generator to create components.
That's called okay, so that didn't work.
Yeah, you need to pass the information what you want to create. You just right?
Yeah, I wasn't in the folder, just that. And wait. So just
Yeah, you need to pass the information what you want to generate.
what do we want to generate?
Component.
Okay. Just like that. Yeah. Yeah, we have our 3 counters here.
Okay, so now we want to use button component in all of them.
So I can just copy the entire
No.
element.
Just use button component
so
like you used, like you did it with app component, right? So you have in app component button, right? No, in template, right?
App button.
That's right. You are using app button in app component. So now we want to use this button component in our counter components. And here we want to display counters. So instead of app button, we want to have here up counter 1, up counter 2, and so on.
Trunk?
We are not passing anything to, it will not work.
Okay.
Yeah, because we are not passing anything there. So currently just check if everything is working fine. Yeah, we have counter 1 works, counter 2 works, counter 3 works. Okay, so in all of those counters we want to use our button.
So just we have
it's CSS.
Sorry. HTML is here, right? So button component, we would like that.
No. We want the same thing we have in app component, right? Because we want to use, we created a counter. It's called button component. It's not intuitive, right? But we have button, and we want to use that button in our counters. So you have in app component usage of button, right? It's a button,
Mhm.
and we want to use it in counters. So just copy this into counters.
This?
Yeah.
So that would mean our up counter 1 changes into the button, and there's an error. Counter 1 component.
You need to scroll up to see the error. Yeah, because you copied everything, and we have here output, and yeah, we need to,
That worked.
yeah, just remove, or then we will use it.
Yeah, there's a button, and those two works as well.
Yeah. And see that all both those buttons are working independently.
Yep.
Right? Okay. Because it's new button. Right? So we created the definition of button, and now we are using it in other places. Instances of that definition.
Okay, so this is all starting to make sense. Very slowly, but it does.
Okay.
So we just have to write like that would be up nav, and then nav component would just have the whole menu written down.
Yeah.
Okay. And I'll just copy that.
Maybe just remove this information that counter is working. We don't need it.
Yeah, okay. Counter 2 HTML and counter 3 HTML. All have.
All right. So now we want to have sum of all counters in app component, right? So now app component is displaying the data from app button, right?
Mhm.
And now we want to consolidate all those counters. We created this counter 1, counter 2, counter 3, and sum all of those numbers and display it in app component.
So
you can remove up button in app component, right? So we just want counters. Yeah, remove it
completely, or just
completely. Yeah, we don't need it. Now we want to practice passing data from childs to parents, and now we want sum of all counters in app component.
So I delete that, or just say it's 0.
It may be 0. It's
Yes,
fine.
it
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't change what we want to achieve.
Okay, so we have our button component. So we might need this. I mean, we don't need this now because it's 0 anyway. So
we don't have to do anything with button.
yeah, I just meant to copy that. Do I have to?
No, you don't.
It's here. So the class is empty.
Yeah. And we want to pass data from button used in counter to up.
Okay,
Right? So we need to listen to output from button in each counter. No, not here, right? So we have an output in button, right? We were listening to it in up component. We deleted it, right? So, and now we want to listen in each counter for each button, right? Because now we don't have direct connection between up and all buttons, right? Buttons emit information, and now this information can be cached only by counters, right?
Mhm.
So go to counter 1 template. Okay, so now
template,
you just use here button component. You pass initial count, but you don't listen to anything.
Mhm.
Yeah, so we need to listen, right?
I don't remember how did we type that.
It's just an event, right? So like click, not click, but our name.
That would be something in the button component. Update counter event.
That's right. Okay, and now we need to create some method in our counter.
So we don't use this,
No,
right?
no, yeah,
Okay.
because it's this update counter is only for app component, for button component.
We have to pass a value, right? The counter. Or don't we? We already have the counter in the button component.
We are listening for an event in template, right? And this event will call a method you just passed, right?
Mm-hmm.
What did you pass? Nothing, right?
Yeah, nothing yet.
Okay, so you need to create some method to pass the data.
So that.
Add to app counter. You will not be adding anything to app component here.
Okay.
Right? Because currently you are listening to some event from button component. And you need to remember this data and pass it, or just from here just pass it to parent component.
So we need a variable here?
Yes, we need property for class. Property, it's class. Yeah.
And that would be What do we want to pass? A number?
Yes, because we are passing a number every time, right?
So it's 0 initially. And now do we just...
Not that. Here we have, yeah, because you want to use this up to add to up counter as listener for an event or some other thing?
We did that earlier.
Yeah, but
Uh,
you did nothing in template.
yeah. Sorry. The whole... it's not app component, it's counter component.
Okay.
So just copy that to other components or not yet?
Not yet. Just
Okay.
finish this counter one, and then result we will.
So how do we pass the data further? We have our event.
Yeah, and how you want to pass? How you can pass data from child to parent?
We had that here.
That was output with event emitter, I think.
That's right.
Input, output.
Here you have
That.
it.
Yeah. So we need that. And let's start here. Output. New, czyli to it will be add to app counter. Why are there errors? Cannot find output. Right, that's imports. And that's new event emitter. And that will be a number. And we have to initialize it. And add.
Okay, and now you have a problem because you have the same names, right?
Yeah.
So you have property and method.
So we want to send data to app. And that's it for now. With
Not
this
yet,
line.
because you changed it here, but you have old method name in template.
Yeah. Here we have our event to send data to app.
Okay. Okay.
And
now you have to send the data.
Emit. Okay. So this add up to counter, emit value, and our value will be our event.
Okay.
And that's a number.
Okay. So what with line 10? We need it?
No, because the button component has the counter set to 0 already. Right? And we don't use it anyway later.
That's right. We don't use it.
So that's 0, and
Okay, now we
it
need
counts, but it
to...
doesn't send.
Y-
I mean, it doesn't receive that.
Yeah, because we didn't add this functionality. Right? So you have up counter, but you don't listen to up counter to any event.
hmm So do we add it here, like we did
Up counter,
out
right?
there?
So up counter 1 now
Right.
has an output, and you don't listen to it.
So that's
Not here. First in template.
yeah, template.
Right? So you have up counter 1 here in line 4.
hmm
Up counter 1 has an output, but you don't listen to it.
So we have to pass it to the up counter again.
We don't
Or-
have to pass anything, but up counter has an output, and we need to listen to it. How do you listen to an event? How do you listen to event triggered, emitted by button? It's all the same.
Earlier what did we use?
So
Receive the
first
event.
thing, tak, go from the bottom. In the button component, we have event emitter, and it emits update counter event, right?
Right.
You listen to it in counter 1 component, right? In template.
Yeah.
Update counter event.
Yeah, you listen to update counter event, and then you handle it using send data to app method,
Right.
right?
Oh,
So
we
go
have to find that.
to it, to the
That would
definition.
be our counter component here. Send. No,
Yeah,
that's not
and
send
this
data to
send
app, right?
That's it.
this method emits up to add to app counter event, right?
So we have to add this here.
Not here. It's div.
It's a div to the
Yeah.
counter.
Counter is a property of app.
Right, we had update app counter here, so we have to have that.
No.
Not that,
Okay.
but receive data from counter. That would be our
Okay.
right, that would be our counter. And we have to start the listener here or not? I mean, I'm kind of lost here.
So once again, go to the button component.
Yeah.
Button component has an event emitter, right?
This is the
Update counter event is an event, and we emit it when we update a counter. Counter is updated when something is clicked. How do we listen to update counter event? Okay, we listen it here. we have this listener set on up button, because up button has an even emitter. We assign to handle this and a function which is defined in counter, right? Because we are in counter.
And it's sent data to app, so we need that.
Yeah, we have an event emitter which emits. We have an event, right? So add to up counter is an event, and it is emitted when something changed. And now you have to listen to it.
But just where? I mean, if not here, we don't have any more elements that I see.
What we have up counter 1, up counter 2, up counter 3.
Okay, so we have to use this right here.
Right? Because up counter 1 has an output and is emitting an event, right? So
Right.
you need to create a listener on this particular element.
Okay.
Right?
And that's our function.
Okay.
And we would like to have
it's our
event
handler
here as well.
Okay. Yeah. It's our handler of an event, right?
And we're adding that here. So
Okay.
it's receiving, it's triggered, and it sends that.
Okay.
And that should update the counter.
Okay.
So this counter would be plus event or just event?
Currently just an event, because we are doing nothing else here.
Event, right.
Okay.
That's a number.
So let's check if this is working.
Yeah, this is.
Okay.
And this is not, and this is not. Okay.
Yeah, because we don't listen to them.
Yeah.
All right. So we already passed an hour, and we will be finishing for today. So maybe for the next time, try to learn and practice everything we done today, and for the next time, try to make a sum of all counters, and we will start from then, from this sum. Okay.
Okay.
So we have one component connected to the app, and two components left, and we need to connect all three of them and sum all those numbers. Okay, practice this. Just also read some documentation about inputs, outputs, event emitters, and then try to read something about services, because next time we are going to use service.
Okay.
To handle everything we did today, and maybe everything we will be doing the next time. All right. Any questions for today?
I don't think so.
Yeah, not really. We just have to, well, study a bit more.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much, and we will hear once again in the next week, and we will be learning services next time, hopefully.
We try.
Yeah, we will try. Okay, thanks guys. Have a nice day. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Thanks.